the sequel that nobody wanted. That is Gladiator 2. The sequel to what is like a masterpiece. I don't know who decided it was a good idea to make this movie. It had to have been like an executive thing. I made the joke to my buddy that Ridley Scott must have just like owed money to somebody. It was like, just sign the check, I'll do it. Gladiator came out in 2000. It's like almost 30 years later. I know we see some sequels 30 years later. We've seen a lot recently.
Beetlejuice.
There's a bunch of them, some of which we like. I cannot for the life of me understand who decided to like get this movie going and made. Ridley Scott is 87 years old. I think he's like been quoted as saying like he'll make movies until he like physically can't anymore or until they just stop him.
Sure.
There's something to respect about that, but also like this movie was a piece of shit. Like it's just not good at all in any way, shape, or form.
There were some very small redeeming qualities about some parts of this film.
All right. Well, you'll have to let me know what those are because I didn't notice any. But this is about Lucius, if you remember, the kid from the original Gladiator who was son of Connie Nielsen's character Lucilla, heir to the throne of Rome. After his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum and must look to his past to find strength to return the glory of Rome to its people. And there's a lot in this film about what his grandfather wanted for Rome, the vision that is Rome, the quote that we hear so much about. But this takes place 16 years after Marcus Aurelius's death. In the original Gladiator, there's like no actual timeline of how long he was fighting.
Right.
But this movie attempts to put some sort of time frame on it, as far as I understood it, which also made no sense.
Yeah, and, because the boy is a young boy the whole time throughout the whole movie in the first one. From when they first see Maximus, when Marcus Aurelius dies, to when Maximus dies at the end of the movie, the kid has not aged.
Right. And I also believe the kid was 8. And I know that specifically because I looked it up because I have a specific gripe that I wanted to talk about, but we'll get into it. So anyhow, that's basically the premise. It's 16 years later. Lucius has to like save Rome or some shit. His mom is in it again. Denzel Washington's in it for some reason. Pedro Pascal is in it.
Macrinus? Was that his name?
Yeah, Macrinus. So tell me about those redeeming factors.
Okay. So I told you from the beginning that I didn't want to watch this movie. I thought this movie was useless. This was a dumb movie. Mm-hmm. And Marvin was the one, which is why I'm disappointed he wasn't here. He's like, nah, Denzel, this was going to be a banger. And I'm like,
he was probably
Denzel
joking.
Might do a good job. But
if he was here to ask,
even that I was disappointed in. Yeah. Like I felt like Denzel was kind of just being Denzel in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell that from the trailer. I think that's why it was getting such criticism when the trailer came out. Like the non-racist criticism that it was getting, I think was based on that it was like, he's just being Denzel. Like, why is he in this? It makes no sense.
You could have called this movie The Empire and not tied it to Marcus and Maximus and just made it a movie about the, Rome.
Yeah.
And it probably would have done better than it did.
You say done better. This movie's got good reviews. Don't ask me how. I know how, but they ain't real. That's for sure.
Yeah. As far as redeeming values, the story to me wasn't all that interesting, but some of the things that happened in the story, like when he was in the Colosseum and his conversations with the doctor, I thought that was some pretty good dialogue, and it was pretty good like character development of like, he finally needed him at the end and he, went and got the soldiers or whatever. That little story arc in and of itself made the movie like, okay, this wasn't total trash. There was a couple things in there that I was like, okay, because I enjoyed like him going in there and being pretty dismissive to the doctor character and how that evolved. But other than that, it was basically a redo of the first one, except not good.
I thought this movie was just completely dog shit from top to bottom. Like I didn't really like anything about it. Honestly, from like the opening seconds of the movie, I knew I was going to hate it because this movie is just, first of all, ugly to look at. It is an ugly movie.
Did you like all the AI generated crowd?
The cinematography was terrible.
It was terrible. The CGI was bad.
The CGI monkeys in the beginning were horrendous.
It was all bad. When he got his arm cut off, and he was like going into the water. I was like, what is this?
The CGI
is this a high school project that somebody turned in? What are we doing?
This looked like a movie made for like the History Channel or something. It looked like a History Channel, like, you know, when they do like the reimaginings or whatever, when they do like the historical, the dramatizations of what they're talking about. That's what it looked like. Ugly ass movie. The coloring was terrible. It just looked cheap. And in a movie that makes Pedro Pascal bad, you know there's a problem, because Pedro Pascal was terrible in this movie. Some of his dialogue delivery, awful. Basically throughout the movie had shit acting. It was just all around not good.
Star-studded.
Yeah, star-studded. All of them bad. The plot made zero sense. You know, honestly, I had to I had to refer to Wikipedia for a lot of it. This movie basically is about the kid, like I said, Lucius, and it turns out he was sent away by his mother, Lucilla, after the events of the original Gladiator. She sent him away to protect him from people who were like gonna like try to like challenge him for the throne or whatever, because he was a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was staying with the imam or whatever, and the soldiers showed up, and then he ran away, and so she never heard from him again.
Right. And so he shows up in this one in the Coliseum games again, fighting, and he's emulating Maximus from the original one, because his meeting of Maximus in the original film was like a huge thing. It's like one of the main driving things of the plot in that first movie, and for both characters. Okay. And so he's emulating Maximus to win the fights, and she realizes like, oh, that's my son, and they kind of try to reconnect or whatever.
So how I don't remember this. Like,
yeah, you know,
he was with her in the car at the beginning of the first movie, as far as I remember, and so he'd already been born. Maximus had been on this campaign for Marcus Aurelius, already had a wife and kids. How is this kid his son?
Yeah, okay, so let's get into that, because that was the most egregious part of this movie, and for me, unforgivable. I agree. This movie was bad, okay, in every possible way, from the head down to the socks, as my boy Biggie would say, right? But this was the worst part of the movie, and it absolutely ruined the character of Maximus, okay? Because the whole point of Maximus in the first one was to get vengeance for his beloved wife and son. Yet we're now to believe he was also having an affair with Lucilla and father to son. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Okay.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
So
it was all about to avenge them and to see them again in the afterlife. Like, he would have gone to hell, hit sired his son with another woman.
Right. So
what?
If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen the original, so I may be wrong. Those of you who are watching, please correct me in the comments. But I think it's alluded to that Maximus and Lucilla were close growing up together, I believe. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they knew each other because Marcus treated Maximus like a son.
Correct.
That he always wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had like a previous relationship. Doesn't mean it was like physical or sexual. Okay.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, it's explicitly stated in the original Gladiator that Lucius was 8 years old, because there's the conversation between Maximus and Lucilla that's like they're talking about their kids, and they're similar ages. So they're both 8. So in order for him to have fathered Lucius, he would have had to cheat on his wife.
Yeah.
I was looking it up on Reddit because there was some things that I didn't remember. And people on Reddit were like, well, you got to understand it's ancient Rome, and like adultery wasn't really a thing as it is now. You're trying to apply modern day morals to like ancient Rome. The movie came out in 2000. Okay. So
he was an honorable commander.
Right. Regardless of history, the morality of our time was injected into the character by the writers when the movie came out in 2000. Maximus would not have done that, no matter what. It doesn't matter.
He would not have.
It completely invalidates and ruins his character.
See, I thought we were gonna get like maybe they were bumping uglies when he was in the Coliseum, like when he was a prisoner after the fact, after his wife and son were dead, and she had a baby after that, and that was
nope.
Like, that could have been believable, but when you do it like this, you just like, yeah, Maximus, and all the honor and
Couldn't find the quote, but apparently Russell Crowe himself was uncomfortable with this, saying it's not in the moral journey of the character.
It's not
to have done this. But like the whole time I was like, what is gained by making Lucius the son of Maximus? What does that accomplish for this movie? Other than a very empty, false sense of sentimentality of being like, remember? The meeting between Lucius and Maximus in the first movie was so meaningful and memorable already. And it would have been equally, if not more meaningful for Lucius just to have remembered Maximus as a heroic figure who inspired him. Any person with a brain would have wrote adult Lucius looking back at Maximus with nothing but like inspiration and like fond memories of him. Like you didn't need to inject this fake like father-son thing into it to give their relationship meaning. I just like couldn't understand like what the purpose of it was. I still can't. I don't understand. Did they do it to make Lucius make his physical prowess and like leadership skills seem plausible? Maybe. But again, why couldn't it just have been that it was his experiences that shaped him? Like, why would it have to be a father-son relationship that gave him this? It made no sense. Then there was the ending too, which I don't know that I've seen a more egregious thing in a movie, at least recently. But this ending where Lucius says, "Father, talk to me," and it cuts to reused footage of the dream sequence at the end of the original Gladiator where Maximus returns home, and meets his wife and kid. But like, it's that shot of his hand, like brushing the grass. I'm actually going to get choked up thinking about it because of the original movie, not this piece of shit. But it's the scene when his hand is like brushing.
It's offensive in the second movie.
It really is. Yeah. It's the scene at the end where Maximus dies and his hand is brushing the grass.
Field, yeah.
They reused that footage when at the end of this movie. Not only did they reuse the scene, but out of nowhere, we just get the Hans Zimmer score of the original with Lisa Gerrard singing. It was just the weakest fucking thing I've ever seen in a movie. I was so upset and angry. I was appalled, honestly. It was so fucking insulting. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's like Ridley, like letting one of his like aides talk to him like, oh my God, it would be so just emotionally riveting if you did this at the end of the movie. That's not a bad idea. Let's do that. Like,
honestly, I don't think Ridley Scott gives a shit one way or another, to be honest. So I don't know. This was just, man, it was real bad. It was really bad. And it was just completely devoid of anything resembling what made Gladiator what it is, which is a masterpiece. The original Gladiator is a masterpiece. And if you were coming into this movie hoping for like maybe a meaningful sequel to a masterpiece, you're in for a rude awakening. When this got announced, you and I like were laughing. Like, there's no way this is going to be good. Why is this being made? We had no interest in watching it.
That was right. Denzel made a bad movie.
People maybe would have been bamboozled by what are clearly paid for reviews. It's crazy. There is no way that the reviews for this movie are legitimately given and not paid for. I refuse to believe it. Not that Rotten Tomatoes means anything. We always have to we always reiterate that it doesn't mean shit. But people look at this stuff. It's got favorable reviews. We are in a time where there is just no media literacy whatsoever. There isn't. You can't watch this movie and be like, no, this was great. Unless you want what Netflix is putting out, which is those movies that you could put on in the background and not have to pay attention to.
The sequel that did need to be made. Please stop doing this. People, stop doing this. Don't make sequels for movies that don't need sequels.
No, it is what it is. I don't understand how it has good reviews. I don't. It has a 6.7 on IMDb. It's got to be...
Give it a 2.
You give it a 2?
Yes.
All right. I'm going with a 0 again. I've been handing out zeros like candy on Halloween.
Yeah, man. That's all right. It's all right.
It's just a 0. It has no redeeming qualities to it for me. Like,
The Order was a better movie. We could have talked about that. Oh my gosh.
This was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Let us know in the comments, folks. We want your opinions. Tell us what you thought of Gladiator 2. Did you like it? If so, what did you like about it?
Yeah, tell us why we're the outcast few that hated it. Tell us why we're wrong.